Hey everyone, welcome to the Peacefield Farm YouTube channel, where today we're going to be going out into the woods and collecting some maple sap. So come on along, let's go for a walk in the woods. So you may or may not have noticed that I have not put up a video for a while. Not since the polar vortex visited in mid-February and we had 2 weeks of almost constant lows of 20 to 30 below zero, which is definitely colder than, well, normal now. Normal back in the day, that was normal. Today I'm going to take a little walk over to where the maple trees are and show you what we got going over there. Here's the back side of our solar array. You can see that's about all the snow we have left is where the sun doesn't hit. Right now, about 10 o'clock in the morning, we're making about almost 8,000 watts of electricity. There's 8,000. This is the path to get over to the maple trees. The maple trees are not on our land, they belong to our neighbor. I plow his snow in the winter and he lets us tap his trees in the spring. So it works out well for both. He thinks he's getting a better deal. I think I'm getting a better deal. So that's what you call a win-win. These white tubes you see lining the path are sugar maple trees that we planted 2 years ago. The white plastic protectors will allow the trees to grow without the deer eating them. We planted 25 sugar maples about 5 years ago, and the deer ate every one of them. So in another 20 years or so, these trees will be ready for tapping. It's unlikely I'll be the one doing it, but you know, you got to pay it forward. If you look closely at these tubes, you'll see some brown material inside of them. Those are leaves from last year, and the tubes have protected those trees from deer eating them. The name of the company that makes these things is called Plantra, and they're in Minnesota, and I will put a link down in the description in case you're interested in purchasing any of these things for your trees. Just coming to the edge of our property now. You can see Mark's house behind me there, and you'll see a few green buckets scattered around amongst his maple trees. Hopefully there's some sap in there for us today, but we're going to check it out. Here's our sugar bush, actually Mark's sugar bush. You can see the buckets. I think we have 23 of them scattered amongst the trees. Some of the larger maples have more than one tap. This tree right in front of us here now has 3 taps in it. So we're going to check them out. That is a hole from a previous year. They do seal themselves up in time. So this is the tree that has 3 taps in it. Hopefully you can see the liquid in there. It's doing pretty good. A couple gallons in there, so we're going to do a sap harvest today. This is a spile. We drilled holes in the trees, pounded the spile in a little bit, attached this rubber tubing to the spile. Rubber tubing goes down into the bucket and sap collects there. I used to use bags to collect, but found that the bags were really squirrel attractants. And the squirrels chewed holes in many, many bags, lost a lot of sap. So this is a way better system, I think, for me. It's a beautiful day in east central Minnesota. We're going to have a high of about 50 degrees. Last night the temperature went below freezing, which is about perfect for maple sap season. You need the temperatures below freezing at night and above freezing during the day. And if you can get some sun out of the deal, that's the best. It's just great to be out here in the spring. You can see lots of deer tracks on the trail here. Anyway, if you're like me, and I know I am, it's really good to get outside, especially in the spring, before the ticks are out and it's still warm enough to be comfortable and not have to wear a big hat, big gloves, and all that winter gear that I showed on the last video I made. If you remember from a few videos ago, this is the spot where we have trails that intersect each other. And I was out with the B2601 with the box blade, smoothing down the snow for my wife and the dog to be walking out here in the winter without snowshoes. So this is the downside of using wood. You have to deal with the ashes, but the price is worth it. I used to use propane. I've used propane for many, many years. Propane cost is high and it's a fossil fuel. So if I can get away with it, and it seems to be working well, I would rather heat the sap with a renewable resource like wood. This wood came from our property. It's mostly popple, but it's working good. So I'm going to start heating it up again today. Just starting up the fire now for the day's boil. And of course, no video would be complete without the B2601, which is getting pretty muddy. But that's one of the downsides of maple sapping. It is the mud season in Minnesota. So I've got the wood fire going now. Just put the pans on. I've been working on these pans for a couple days now. This part of the operation you can see is a little bit lighter. I've reversed where the pans are today. This pan was back here, that one was up front. The hotter part of the stove is closer to the chimney, so this pan is definitely evaporating faster. See, we've got a nice color going here in this one. This one might be getting close to being done, but we'll get these hot and then we'll check them. When I go over to the maple trees, I use this big trash bin here to dump the sap into. So right now, I've got maybe 2-3 inches in the bottom. I'm going to transfer that up to the two pans. You can see there's ice crystals in there. So the sap is definitely being cooled in the evening. So what you see in those two pans right now is the boiled down version of about 45 gallons of sap. So we're going to finish this sap off, turn it into syrup. In the meantime, I'll be collecting more sap to turn that into syrup later. You can see the flame down below the 2 pans there. I like to do some temperature checking here. So we're going to shine this on the side of the front of the barrel, 448, middle of the barrel, like almost 600, back of the barrel, a little bit cooler, chimney, pretty warm, 450. I also have one of these El Cheapo stack thermometers here, which is reading about 250 or so, and the actual temperature is 400. So I bought that thing on Amazon for about $5. You get what you pay for. I attempted to return it because we have Amazon Prime, but Amazon didn't want it back, so they refunded me my money, and actually I paid nothing for it. But if you're okay with not knowing the temperature, or you knowing that it's 150 or so degrees low, you can deal with it. Gus the dog is enjoying the sunshine today, but the north side of the house still got a lot of ice buildup there. You can see the sun line is where the dividing line is between the ice and the grass. Hey Gus. From those 2 pans that I showed you earlier, I've condensed them down into one pot and brought it into the house so that we could finish the boil inside and keep track of the hygrometer readings that you need to take in order to tell when the syrup is really syrup. So our first boil gave us about 12 pints in various sized containers here. Beautiful color this time around. This is the beginning of our second boil. As you can see here, it's snowing again, but you take whatever weather you can get this time of year, spring in Minnesota. Thanks for visiting with me today, and have a great week.